Albanian, no matter what the religion. They very likely spoke Albanian. Very many of them spoke Vlach, which is roughly related to Romanian. And the only reason anyone would look at them and say all of you are Greeks is because of this same designation, which is they belong to the same Orthodox Church. But they spoke different languages. They spoke different dialects. Again, asking someone, who are you? You would ask, you say, who are you? You said, well, I'm from Monevasia. Or I'm from Sparta. Well, actually, they didn't have the term. Sparta doesn't exist yet. I'm from Patra. I'm from Livadia. I'm from these places, meaning that's my primary marker. Aside from that, my more general marker is that I'm a Roman, right? Meaning I'm a Christian. Now, a good part of the Ottoman Empire was Christian, and the Ottoman Empire was a regime of multi-confessionality. Theoretically speaking, after the conquest, theoretically speaking, the Sultan would protect all religions of the book, meaning they all went back to Abraham. This means Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. They're all people of the book, and they were organized into the separate communities, which was systems of integrating the priesthoods into governance. And so they became the appointees of the Sultan. The Patriarch of Constantinople, who's the head of the Eastern Church still, was appointed by the Sultan. He collected taxes. He used his powers of excommunication liberally, always making sure that the flock obeyed the Sultan. Meaning, for various theological reasons, he made the case that it was right for the Orthodox to be ruled by a Muslim Sultan. And in return for the submission and keeping the peace, the Sultan promised peace and protection. So these were also zimmis, and zimmis meant, in other words, that they are people who are not Muslims but enjoy the protection of the Sultan, theoretically speaking. Notables in a region like this, but also in other regions, cooperated with each other. They competed with each other. There were notables who were Christians. There were notables who were Muslims. They spoke various languages. In a region like the Balkans, the notables and the merchants tended to speak Greek as their common language, even though at home they spoke a multiplicity of languages. It was a regime, and these were members of the regime. The Christians, in other words, were also Ottoman subjects, and they were also participating in the Ottoman regime. It was an extremely violent place. And before we start getting all nostalgic about empires, we should remember that the empires were themselves quite violent. They were not happy places to be. The Ottoman Empire, at this point in time, was a particularly unhappy place to be. Why was it an unhappy place to be? Because the system was undergoing an unintentional decentralization. It was never intended to happen this way, but this is what happened. So that the Sultan and his various governors in the various places found it more and more difficult to collect taxes and to mobilize soldiers in times of war.